Okay.
In terms of the suckiest Mac product that Apple has released, wow, I don't know. They haven't released a terrible product in a long time. I would have to go back to the 90s. I mean, maybe like there was the PowerBook whose batteries burst into flames. That was not a good product. I would actually label it as when they had the Performa series, and the Performa individual Performas were fine. But the whole idea of the Performa was there were these beige Macs without names. They were all like the 4321 and the 4323, and you couldn't tell them apart, and you couldn't tell what they did, and it was really emblematic of when Apple lost their way. And when Jobs came back, one of the first things he did is said, I'm going to cut the product line. We're going to have like 2 products or 4 products eventually. He said desktop, laptop, pro, consumer, and that was a big deal because you couldn't even tell. It was just, well, this gray box was at Walmart and this gray box was at Sears, and they had different numbers, and that was a really terrible time for Apple. They haven't put out a really truly sucky product in a while. I'm trying to think. There's probably some app that's bundled with Mac OS 10, and maybe I'm spacing on it now. That's not very good. There was, iMovie 2, iMovie 3. There was this point where iMovie was really good. iMovie 2, it was really good, really solid. And then somebody came to Apple or came into the iMovie group and said, rewrite this all in Cocoa, Mac OS 10. And what happened was you had this product that was incredibly functional in version 2. I think it was version 2. And then version 3 came out, and it took a step back. It was like slow and crashed, and the plugins didn't work anymore. And everybody said, why did this happen that you went backward? And we never got a sufficient answer. I think the answer was because somebody internal at Apple made a political decision, and they ended up with an update that was a downgrade, and that was kind of a disaster. So. And then I'll give you one more, which is .Mac. I think .Mac has. I'm trying to exert my independence here. I think .Mac has never lived up to it. Apple introduced .Mac, which is their web services stuff, and they said they introduced it by taking away a bunch of things that they said were free, and replacing with something you pay $100 a month for, which didn't really instill people with a lot of excitement. And quite frankly, it's never really lived up to it. It's got some good things about it, but you see so many innovative things on the web that are happening, and none of them are happening at .Mac. It seems to be slow, behind the curve. And in fact, I think the only reason that most people are paying for .Mac right now is out of inertia, or because Apple has done this, frankly, very Microsoftian thing of bundling sync features into Mac OS 10 that only work with .Mac, or that only work well with .Mac. And that's really lame to say we have this service that isn't very good, but it's the only one you can use because we control the OS and we control the service. I think it's got huge potential, but there are all these rumors about Apple and Google working together, and part of me says Apple should just get out of the .Mac business entirely and work with Google on some kind of premium set of features with Google, because why would I ever use .Mac Mail for Gmail? Gmail is so much better than .Mac's Mail, and it's free. And .Mac I'm paying $100 a year, so I think that would be. I'm working my way up to .Mac. I think maybe .Mac is the suckiest thing that Apple's done in a while, because it just have never come through.
I think that's the one that I have the experience with that I would have to agree. I'm paying for it. I have no idea why, and it doesn't. It just doesn't do anything for me.
I think some people pay for it because they want their Mac.com iChat address, which you don't have to pay for. You can get that even without paying. And so there's some ignorance and there's inertia where it auto-renews, and then there's like one feature that syncs one place that you want to have, and it's just not enough. It's not worth $100 a year for sure. Yeah. So let's hope they address it or kill it or something, because it's just not. There's just nothing there.
Well, Jason, thank you so much for joining us today on the first Mr. Media iChat video, and thanks for your patience.
Worked out okay?
Yeah, I think it did. You did a great job of bearing with me through working out the technical stuff. If I had,
I'm no stranger to technical problems. Trust me.
If I had to work out technical problems doing this, I think you're the right person to do this with. Folks, remember you can check out Macworld magazine at the newsstand, but of course also online, macworld.com. And folks, if you'd like to keep up with Mr. Media's Friday interviews, you can subscribe to the site via email at www.mrmedia.com. You can also subscribe to the audio feed in the podcast section of iTunes. Thanks for joining us. Please come back again next week for another Fridays with Mr. Media.